Okay, so today is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. It's about 3:50 in the afternoon here on the East Coast of these United States of America. Markets are still open, and I can see that not only has Bitcoin been obliterated, but practically every single company in the, be it Bitcoin mining / HPC AI universe is just kind of getting knocked to pieces. And you know what? That happens sometimes. I am not concerned in the least. In fact, most of today, I was up in the Panther Creek area, having some meaningful and interesting conversations with a number of individuals who I've had the opportunity to kind of get to know over the past number of years. But I'll tell you something. Of all the observations that one can make as it relates to a company, I think one of the strongest signals that one can look at and rely upon is when you have an insider, somebody who knows exactly what's going on at the company at any given point in time, and observing what that type of individual is doing. So I just noticed this a short while ago prior to beginning this broadcast. And let's see if I can pull this up. So this was posted about 5 hours ago today, and it was posted by somebody who I'd argue is the ultimate Bitfarms insider. Somebody who has a clear view of everything, and I do mean everything, that's going on at the company. And this individual shared the following comment publicly on X. Nice consolidation. I bought the dip. And there is a screenshot that demonstrates two trades that this individual made, totaling, I think, something like 35,000 shares or so. I'm not so good at doing math while doing a broadcast, kind of glancing over at an X screenshot. So double check that. So who is this insider? None other than Mr. Ben Gagnon, the CEO of Bitfarms. If that is not the ultimate insider, if that's not the ultimate observable insider, right, whose moves are being broadcast in open daylight, for all of us to kind of start thinking and reading between the lines, right? There's no reason for somebody to have to do this. Right? Now, there are rules as to windows of time in which insiders can buy stock. It's not quite the Wild West, right? But nevertheless, one can make, I think, some intelligent extrapolations based on that type of activity. Now, when I layer a lot of other human intelligence and comments and conversations, you start to put together a fuller picture of things, and you start to really kind of come to a realization that, hey, the stock market, like on a day like today, Bitfarms is up a bit, it's down, it's kind of getting jostled all over the place. It's noise, okay? Yeah, at least from my perspective, you really got to stay focused on what the vision is for a company like Bitfarms, right? You got to stay focused on what exactly is happening, actually happening, and what's kind of going on, and what things are slowly but surely aligning to create a pathway for this company's share price to go up even further, okay? Now, I want to acknowledge and I appreciate that there are those amongst us whose investment, if you want to call it that, time horizon is measured in, maybe half a day, maybe a couple days of trading. Hey, I'm just kind of looking to get in, to get out. I want to keep my money nimble, right? And I get that, and I appreciate that. You sort of have the other extreme, which I think I kind of started to fall into there for a while, right? With Stronghold Digital Mining, where it's like, man, I'm just kind of like all in, And that doesn't mean like literally every last penny. I just mean like, hey, I'm out there. I'm advocating for the company, for the mission and purpose of the business. I'm all in mentally, emotionally, and I've got a very healthy investment, right, in the company. Hey, that's like maybe the other extreme where you're kind of like at this for not just months, but for years, right? And then there's that happy middle of the road, right? And I want to acknowledge that, hey, you might be somebody who's kind of just looking to get in and get out of stuff. And hey, if that's the case, you're going to want to look at charts and kind of like try to figure out the whole technical thing. Hey, what's the RSI? Are we oversold, overbought? Like, hey, well, and just kind of get into that world of like really kind of like micromanaging the stock price on a minute by minute basis. I can't speak to that because it's just not kind of like what I do, right? It's not my approach. So I'm looking at Bitfarms and I'm looking at the stock price. And I'm just saying, hey, where are we going to be at a year from now? And, when you look at some of the other players in the space and you see, I'm going to pick a little bit on Iron. I mean, like, that company's had an insanely meaningful run, and some have said to me, hey, I think Bitfarms may be the next Iron. And I'm like, well, hey, I want Bitfarms to be Bitfarms. I want Iron to do what Iron's doing. I want Iron to live into their full potential. But, I want Bitfarms to be Bitfarms and to be the very best Bitfarms it can be. I don't want it to necessarily be, the next whatever. I want it to be Bitfarms, okay? Building upon the strength of Stronghold digital mining. That's what I want. And so, hey, when we see a day like today that could be very discouraging for somebody who bought maybe yesterday at a certain price point and now you're down 10, 15, 20%, whatever the case may be, and you're like, oh man, I'm screwed, like what's going on? Again, I can't speak to that other than to encourage you to consider, at least with Bitfarms, yeah, hey, if you want to trade in and trade out of it a bit, hey, that's great. But maybe consider at least, not investment advice, but at least consider maybe setting aside some of your shares for a little bit of a longer time horizon. Because yeah, man, like trading at $2 and around 70-ish cents a share today, give or take a bit, we could easily be much, much, much higher than that. But I can't promise it's going to happen in the next 30 seconds or in the next, 30 days, right? I mean, sometimes this stuff takes time. I am incredibly encouraged by Ben and his willingness to be very open about what he's doing. I think it's good to build morale, right? Hey, we can all rally around Ben because, hey, he's the CEO. Hey, he's buying shares. I mean, that's a tremendous vote of confidence. And I think that's phenomenal. So thank you, Ben, for being so open and candid with sharing that. And let's be fair. I mean, hey, it's going to become public knowledge anyway, right? So you might as well kind of get ahead of that. And, hey, stand behind the fact that, look, hey, Ben believes in this company. As I said, there's no insider with better information about what's going on inside Bitfarms, arguably, than Ben. Okay? So I'll let you sort of read between the lines. I'll let you kind of decide what this could mean, what it suggests, right? And come to your own conclusion as to whether or not Bitfarms is a buy when we see dips like this or not. Now, on the arguably somewhat more speculative end of the spectrum is Canaan, right? Which I mentioned, I guess 2 days ago or so. Hey, congratulations. If you are, again, in that nimble money crowd, you got in, right? Because I posted that broadcast before the market had closed. And hey, you got in. You had a huge day yesterday. I think it was up like 20%. Congratulations. I'm still in it. And I'm just being transparent about this. My time horizon for Canaan isn't, like a day or 20 minutes. It's, hey, I want to see what transpires as we get closer to October, their monthly business report as it relates to, or monthly business update as it relates to September. September is the end of Q3 2025, so we might get some additional context and color as to what has transpired in the quarter in that next update. As of last check, right? Hey, they still have most of that $30 million that will expire, by the way, on November 27th. Like that $30 million, up to $30 million buyback, they haven't really used a whole lot of it, and it actually expires on November 27th. So it's kind of like a use it or lose it type of situation. And given the fact they're running into this listing issue, I believe as of then November 10th, like they have to either be in compliance or they got to reapply for another 180-day extension. again, nothing has really fundamentally changed in terms of what I'm looking for in terms of catalysts. Hey, it's great to see that a lot of enthusiasm, right, and a lot of capital kind of rushed into the stock yesterday. And yeah, like if I were the kind of dude who were into like the whole pump and dump, or like, hey man, I just want to like talk it up and kind of get out of it. That's not even what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to like alert you to what my thinking is, because some people have asked, like, how the hell do you do what you do sometimes? And I don't always get it right. And I am a bit of a contrarian in my thinking, right? And again, I'm just sort of sharing my thought process. In fact, one fellow said, hey, what's your exit point for Canaan? And I shared an actual photo that I took of my little journal. I keep these journals where I write down like my thinking about, different equities and like what my thought process is in terms of getting into it, what I'm looking at, the catalysts that I'm looking at to potentially move the stock forward. And it's important to kind of like ahead of time think about what would it take for me to want to sell the shares, right? And so I shared that publicly on X. So if you don't happen to follow me on X, I'd strongly encourage you to do so. I really don't post a lot of like random gibberish about this, about that. I'm very kind of like focused on just posting stuff generally about Bitfarms, about maybe a couple other equities here and there. I'm pretty business centric as it relates to that. I really don't kind of get into other topics. So, if you look at the description of this broadcast, you will see a link to my X account. In fact, I was up, as I said, at Panther Creek today, and I did post a little something on X pertaining to my visit. So you can check that out there. If you don't subscribe to these broadcasts, consider doing so. With YouTube, it's all about the algorithm and trying to get some reach to get the Bitfarms name out there to more potential people who, may not have necessarily heard the story. If you've been, part of this journey with me for any length of time, you know that this is a very unusual channel, right? I don't really run it as a normal channel where I'm like, hey man, please subscribe. Come on, blah, blah, blah. Like, a monetary price to the whatever, the, subscriber number 1,000 or whatever the case may be. I don't even care. Like, I started this broadcast mainly because I wanted to try to just kind of share the gospel, if you want to call it that, of stronghold digital mining, right? Which at the time, man, YouTube was just littered with like a bunch of negativity about the company. So I'll leave you with that. Keep the faith. Hey, look, it sucks to see that Bitcoin took a dump. It happens. If you've been a part of the Bitcoin ecosystem for any length of time, stuff like that happens. The whole, again, like I said, the whole ecosystem it kind of took a beating today. I don't know when it's going to end, but I'm looking squarely at the fundamentals of both Bitfarms and more recently Canaan, which again is far more speculative from my perspective. But hey, let's stay positive with this. Let's be great. We're going to see each other again really soon. And I'd encourage you for the final time, check out my X, channel. Again, I do post things there that just often don't make it to YouTube. So I'm just trying to be transparent about that. Okay, my friend, I'll talk to you soon.